Hello, BookTube. Happy New Year. We have officially made it to 2021, so cheers. My friend got me this cool little coffee mug. Um, so yeah, I've been drinking coffee out of it every day. Switched over from my Doctor Who mug. Uh, but anyway, so yes, we are in the new year. Hopefully it brings better things than 2020, but we shall see. I am here today to give sort of a weekend reading update. Um, been doing some reading. I've read a few things. I'm in the process of reading some more things. You know, typical life of a reader, I guess. So yeah, I'm just gonna talk about the books that I've read and what I'm currently reading. And yeah, let's get into it. So one of the first books that I finished before the new year was Harrow the Ninth by Tasmin Muir. This is the sequel to Gideon the Ninth. Um, and I probably should have reread Gideon before I read Harrow, but I didn't. I just sort of dived into it. Um, I enjoyed this, even though I feel like I probably missed out on a lot because of the fact that I didn't reread Gideon before I read this. But this follows the character of Harrow, who is a necromancer, and she is drafted by her emperor to fight this war um, with side by side with her detested rival. And anyway, her health is also failing, and she can't figure out if someone is trying to kill her, and there's all kinds of things going on. Anyway, so yeah, I enjoyed this. It was a fun read. But like I said, I feel like I probably missed out on things because I didn't reread Gideon. Before the third book comes out, which is called, let me look, does it say? Yeah, Alecto the Ninth. Before the third book comes out, this is going to be a trilogy, I guess. I need to reread Gideon and then reread this one again. We'll see if I actually do that, but anyway, so yeah, I enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars, I think. Not that that matters. Star ratings are arbitrary, like I've said. And then I finished a nonfiction book, which was Wandering in Strange Lands, A Daughter of the Great Migration Reclaims Her Roots by Morgan Jerkins. And this book follows Morgan, who is from New Jersey, and she is black, and she is researching her roots. She has lived in New Jersey in the north her entire life, and she wants to find out more about where her parents came from and why there was this great migration that took place, what that meant for her family. So she looks into things like what it means to be Creole. She also talks about how a lot of blacks claim Native American heritage or Indian heritage, and how that's not always something that the Indians are happy about. And so, yeah, it looks at a whole lot of different aspects of race and ethnicity, and how all of these things play into her heritage and her ancestry, and what that means for her as a person. So it's moving, it's disturbing, it's interesting to read. So I really enjoyed this. There's a lot going on in this book to unpack, but I would strongly recommend reading it if you're at all interested, because, like I said, there's a lot of interesting things in here that are both, like I said, moving and disturbing all at once. And she does a lot of research and talks to a lot of different people to understand these different aspects of her background. So yeah, really enjoyed this. And then my first read of 2021 was an ancient classic, and that was Beowulf, a verse translation in the Penguin Classics edition. And so Beowulf, of course, is the Old English poem. It tells the story of Beowulf and his battles that he fights, one of them being against the monster Grendel. And then he also, in the end, fights a dragon, which he ultimately dies when he is fighting the dragon. The dragon dies too, but so does Beowulf. And I had never read this before. When I was in university, despite 2 degrees in English, this was never something that I was required to read. And so I wanted to read it and learn more, or not really learn more, but I wanted to read it and learn uh, what this poem was about and why it is so um, revered as like one of the greatest surviving works of literature and things. So I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was like mind blowing or anything to me, but it was readable in this translation, um, and I'm glad that I read it, so I have a background as to um, what this poem is influenced. Because like J.R.R. Tolkien um, uses this poem Beowulf as influence in his Lord of the Rings trilogy, and so part of me kind of wants to go back at some point and reread Lord of the Rings and see if I can see the inspiration um, in that comes from Beowulf. Not sure when that will happen, but anyway, really was glad to read this because, like I said, I was curious about it because I never read it for school. So, yeah, that was my first read of 2021. And then I have several books on the go. One of them, of course, is still A Promised Land by Barack Obama. I'm reading this very slowly. I made some pretty decent progress with it when I was at my parents' over Christmas, but I haven't picked it up really since. I need to read more of it because I'd really like to get this done this month. But I just haven't really been in the mood for political nonfiction right now. Sorry, Obama. But anyway, I am enjoying it. It's just I'm such a mood reader that this isn't always what I want to read. Sometimes I want to read something lighter. But anyway, I'm still reading that. And then I'm reading from my library Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. And this is taking place in the holy city of Tova. And there's a ship that is bound for Tova, and it's carrying one passenger who is young and blind and described as harmless. And so, anyway, I've only read a couple of chapters. I've just met the person who is blind, and I've also met the captain of the ship, who is disgraced. She's committed some crimes. Anyway, so yeah, I'm enjoying this so far. I think it'll be a quick read. I mean, it looks like it's a long book, but the font is big and there's a lot of space. So I don't think this should take me too long to read. And then I'm also doing a reread of the book Fettered for Life by Lily Devereaux Blake. And this was a book that I read for my American Women's History class when I was in undergrad, and I really, really loved it when I first read it, and I haven't reread it since. And so I wanted to give this a reread. Basically, it looks at gender and how this takes place in it was published in 1874, but it takes place in the Victorian era, only in the United States. And so it follows our main character of Laura Stanley, who she's come to New York to get away mostly from her father. And she's trying to find a career and support herself. And she encounters a lot of challenges in doing this because of her gender. And so there's a lot of commentary in here on gender. There is also a cross-dresser in this book. And so, yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff going on in here that's very subversive, very ahead of its time. And so, yeah, I'm really enjoying my reread of this because, like I said, I absolutely loved it when I was in undergrad, when I read it for the first time. and it was really exceptionally awesome when I first read it because of the person who is the crossdresser. You don't expect it, and when you find out why they're the crossdresser, it's even better. So yeah, I really love this book. I highly recommend it if you can get your hands on it, because it is really, really, really fascinating to read. Um, and the commentary that it makes on gender and how women have been excluded from so many things because of our gender is interesting to read as well. And this was also one of the copies that my professor had, and she gave it to me when she retired, um, because she had two copies. And she was like, "Do you want any of my books?" Because she didn't want to take them all when she moved back to the East Coast. And I was like, "I want a copy of Fettered for Life if you're willing to give one up." And so she gave it to me. But anyway, so I'm reading that. And then the last book I'm reading is The Hours by Michael Cunningham. This book is centered sort of around Virginia Woolf, and her book, Mrs. Dalloway. And he is basically interweaving various, one character from Mrs. Dalloway, the novel, Clarissa. And then there's Virginia Woolf herself, and then there's another character whose name I think is Laura. I just read that chapter and I don't remember her name. Yeah, Laura, who is reading Mrs. Dalloway. It's very meta. And so basically he's interweaving these various people and the book Mrs. Dalloway all together. And so you see how all these characters come together. And so far I'm really, really liking this. I'm not super well versed in Virginia Woolf. I've read Mrs. Dalloway and I've read Orlando, and I think that's about it. So anyway, I know enough about like what happened with Virginia Woolf and about Mrs. Dalloway in order to be able to understand what's going on in this book. I need to read more of Virginia Woolf. But anyway, I'm liking this so far. I'm about, it doesn't have chapter numbers. Probably about 5 chapters in-ish. So yeah, this will be a quick read, so I will probably finish this before I finish any of the other books that I'm currently reading. So yeah, that's The Hours by Michael Cunningham. It also won the Pulitzer Prize. So yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm currently reading on this third day of 2021. The university where I teach opens back up tomorrow. However, classes don't start till the end of January, so I still have a while yet of not really having a whole lot I need to do. So I'm hoping to get in some more reading time. I've also been trying to watch like a movie or a show every night. I'm not a big TV person, but I kind of wanted to see what was out there in terms of movies and shows and things. So last night I watched Ammonite, which is on Amazon Prime, and you have to pay to rent it, but it was worth it. It was really good. It follows a woman named Mary, who is, what's the word I'm looking for? Not really a geologist, but like she looks at, I guess you could say she's into natural history. She goes out to the beach and the shore and she digs up fossils, and she finds these fossils. She even has one displayed in the British Museum. I think it's based on a true story. Anyway, this other woman comes to stay with her when the woman's husband leaves to go on some trip, and Mary and this other woman end up having an affair together. And so anyway, it's really moving and I really liked it. I was a little disappointed by the ending because I felt like it kind of ended on one of those typical endings of a movie like that, where you could sort of make your own interpretation of what was going to happen between the two women. And I kind of wanted to see a little bit more at the end, like, were they going to stay together even though one of them is married? what was going to happen there. But anyway, like I said, overall, I really enjoyed it. And then I wasn't really feeling like reading last night. So after I watched that, I also watched Wallace and Gromit, The Wrong Trousers. It's only about 30 minutes. This is animated film. And it is just a riot. I absolutely love that little short clip or short film. Um, so yeah, uh, like I said, I've been trying to watch something every night. I also watched The Personal History of David Copperfield, which is on Amazon Prime, and I enjoyed that as well. I watched that not last night, but the night before. Anyway, so that's what I've been up to. That's what I'm reading. Hope you all are doing well. Hope your 2021 is off to a good start, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks, BookTube.